Welcome to Worldwise Studio, where the world's biggest ideas become surprisingly simple.
For decades, the global economy ran on a remarkably simple formula. You design a product in one country, manufacture it wherever labor is cheapest, ship it across the ocean, and sell it everywhere. This system was built on a mid-20th century innovation known as just-in-time manufacturing. The goal was pure economic efficiency, minimizing the cost of production while maximizing the speed of output. Instead of hoarding backup inventory in large warehouses, companies kept stockpiles as low as possible. The entire model relied on moving goods quickly and continuously, assuming the oceans and ports would always remain open and frictionless. This approach allowed for extreme interconnectivity. A single modern smartphone relies on components designed, forged, and assembled across dozens of different countries before ever reaching your pocket. But while minimizing inventory created incredible economic efficiency, it introduced a hidden architectural flaw. The more stretched and tightly wound this system became, the more places there were for it to break. Over the past few years, a cascading series of shocks exposed that brittleness. Global pandemics, sudden trade restrictions, and energy crises struck simultaneously, and the tightly choreographed dance of international shipping ground to a halt. Because the system operated with zero redundancies, a single failed node in one hemisphere immediately resulted in empty shelves in another. There were no backup plans to absorb the impact. This forced massive corporations to confront a question that would have sounded absurd just 10 years ago. What exactly do we do if our cheapest global supplier is suddenly unavailable overnight? The evidence shows that the historical map of pure efficiency is now dangerously obsolete for a volatile world. Logistics are evolving from a philosophy of pure efficiency to one of resilience. It is a shift toward a just-in-pace model. Companies are now prioritizing redundancy, maintaining multiple backup suppliers and strategic inventory reserves as a baseline requirement. This has accelerated a strategy called friendshoring. Governments and corporations are intentionally rebuilding their supply chains within countries they consider reliable geopolitical partners. There is a direct economic trade-off here. Choosing a reliable partner over the absolute cheapest factory often means accepting higher baseline manufacturing costs in exchange for lower geopolitical risk. In this new economic environment, the cheapest factory is no longer the most attractive one. Reliability is now the ultimate premium product. Building these reliable new networks requires raw physical materials. The technologies driving the future depend heavily on resources like lithium, copper, and rare earth elements. But the countries that pull these minerals out of the ground are rarely the ones that process them. Extracted ore often has to be shipped across the world to highly specialized industrial facilities just to be made usable. And the countries that process those refined materials are often entirely different from the ones turning them into final consumer products on automated assembly lines. So there is no single supply chain map anymore. It is a massive, overlapping web of mining, processing, and manufacturing maps, and governments are actively intervening to influence all of them. Securing economic power today isn't about controlling the final assembly node. It requires navigating and securing this entire fragmented journey. This reorganization is being violently accelerated by the rise of artificial intelligence. While AI is a digital software revolution, it has a massive physical footprint. Running AI requires millions of advanced chips. Those semiconductors must be fabricated in highly specialized environments that rely on complex material supply chains. Once built, the data centers housing these servers draw enormous amounts of electricity. They require vast power grids and advanced cooling infrastructure just to function. The global race for AI supremacy is actually an intensely physical race to secure the energy, minerals, and manufacturing logistics required to sustain it. As companies adapt, the physical map of trade is redrawing itself. Multinationals are abandoning single-thread transit routes, pivoting toward regional ports and backup manufacturing hubs. Globalization is becoming localized and defensive as countries build clusters to shield themselves from disruptions. So, who actually wins in a global economy that optimizes for resilience instead of raw efficiency? The victors will be the nations and corporations that position themselves as irreplaceable nodes. It will be the countries that successfully integrate abundant resources, cheap energy, and strategic geography into this new web. For decades, the ultimate goal of global trade was finding the absolute cheapest route. Today, the greatest innovation is engineering the safest one.